Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, the 2006 movie review. So, let me just put this out right here, right now. This movie sucks. Plain and simple as that. This movie is terrible. It is terrible in every way, shape, or fashion. The movie sucks. The writing sucks. The direction sucks. The cinematography sucks. The character sucks. And the acting sucks. Everything sucks with this movie. And yes, it is the third installment of the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. A lot of people don't know about this movie. Some do, some don't. And yes, it is canon. And, I remember when I heard about this a long time ago, I saw, the poster and stuff like that for it. Because it came directly out on DVD only. That's a huge sign. If it comes directly on video, DVD, it's normally going to be a bad movie. And now, since a lot of DVDs, people don't do that no more. Now, if it comes out directly to streaming, that normally means it's going to be mediocre or bad. And this movie is just bad. Now, last year, when I reviewed I Know What You Did Last Summer, the TV series, I said that I mentioned briefly about this movie, and I said it was god awful. But it's not one of those type of movies where it's so bad it's funny good. Now, there is a slasher movie like that I will be talking about in a couple of days from now, because October is coming up. And so, but at least with that movie, it has some redeeming qualities and everything. It's bad, but there are some good things about it. This one is just bad. But in my opinion, it's not the worst slasher movie ever. Do you want to know a secret? Starring Joey Lawrence is the worst slasher movie ever that I've ever seen, and sadly owned on VHS back in the day. It was back during those times. I've mentioned something like this before. Back when I used to buy movies, because I never really was a movie goer, so I used to just buy them on VHS or DVD, and because they look cool on the cover, and I wish for the best. A lot of times I did really good, but that was about 7 out of 10 times, it was good. But those couple of times it turned out to be crap, so I stopped doing that. That was back in my 20s and stuff when I was in college. I don't do that no more. Do you want to know a secret? Is one of the worst slasher anythings of all time. But anyways, this movie, my God, it is terrible. One, they kind of recycled the plot from the first movie. There are a lot of references from the first movie that get put into this, where it's kind of like, couldn't you be original? And when I said it's canon, yes. In the movie, in a newspaper article, they revealed there was a man with a hook who killed a bunch of high school kids in this fisherman type town. Events of the first movie. Then it said in this a year later he went to the Bahamas in a hotel and killed more. Now this is the problem with that. Yes, that is canon from the first two movies. But in the newspaper article about the Bahamas in the hotel, it says 4 teenagers died. Now there is a slight problem with this. So it indicates, yes, everybody from the second movie has died. Even the ones that survived died off screen, which means Julie James is technically dead. But here's the problem. It said 4 teenagers. Julie should have been around 19 or 20, so she was an adult in college. But of course, a lot of people call 18 and 19 teenagers, even though they are adults. Also, problem with that is the only college students that died in that movie were the 2 boyfriends, Tyrell, and the friend interest, Will, who was the son of Ben Willis. And everybody else survived, so there was 3 survivors. So they made 5, and not 4. So it's a little confusing. Therefore, somebody did not properly do their research when they wrote this god-awful movie. But technically, that is canon. Now, In 2011, with the success of Scream 4, they wanted to reboot and do a sequel of this series, a fourth installment. That installment would have included the survivors of all the movies: Julie James, Clara, Ray, and the supposed survivor of this movie. And they was going to ignore the events of the ending of this movie because the person who survived the Amber is technically dead, seemingly off screen. And so, like, what it was going to involve, I'll link the thing below that explains the entire movie because I am not about to read this entire thing. But basically, what happens is that everybody survives. Julie James ends up dying early in the movie. And then, there's a new cast of characters and blah, 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 and all this other crap. And so that was intended to be the fourth movie, but it did not go through. And so they created a television show instead. And the television show sucks. Now, which sucks more? This movie or the television show? I don't know, because they're both terrible. Because nothing makes sense in either one. And it's really hard to tell. But when you look at this movie, it just looks ugly. But when you look at the TV show, it at least looks decent, like pretty and stuff. But this movie just looks god ugly. Why is that? Well, they decided for this movie, it looks very flat. Like every scene you look at looks flat. They decided to tone down the color grading. They made it pale. So it has this grayish type of stereo almost to it. Like this very muted, like colorless type palette. Then they added so many different filters during different times in the movie. Now at nighttime, it's that blue filter. Sometimes it's a green filter at night. Mostly the green comes out at night inside the building. Then there's kind of like this yellowish filter in like the daytime. And it's just weird and bizarre. It's only towards the very end we actually get like an actual normal looking view and everything. And not only that, but they added this type of grain filter to like the film. So it's like this grainy effect. And it just looks awkward and ugly and just disgusting. It makes you want to throw up when you look at it. It kind of has this metal grittiness look to it, and it's just weird and stuff. And like I said before, it's flat. Like the camera barely moves around. It stays on like one scene. It's almost like a college student and a fan film made this, but it looked like it was made with a very, 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 very advanced digital camera that you could buy out Best Buy or something. And the bad thing is, most college films and YouTube fan films look better than this. And I feel bad trashing this movie, but it sucks. But thankfully, the entire cast and even the director, it did not kill their careers. They bounced back. Many of them bounced back in a big way, thankfully. The director, he did a couple more movies after this. He did Stomp the Yard. I've never seen that. I heard it has like mixed reviews, but most of his movie has mixed reviews. But he was able to bounce back in television, directing a lot of stuff there. The main actress. Okay, remember when I said everybody's acting is bad? Yes, her acting is bad. The blonde girl. Her acting is bad. She's the one kind of like in the middle towards the right. The blonde girl. Her acting is bad in this. I have not seen her in anything since, but she's done a lot of stuff since, like TV. So hopefully her acting has gotten better. Now the dude who plays Roger, his career kind of took a hit by this, but he's done a lot more stuff behind the camera, so that's a good thing. But his acting was bad in this too. The boyfriend, the blonde dude, his acting is bad. In the beginning of the movie, he looks into the camera twice. If you can't even edit that out, that's a shame. Now, there is actually one shining light of this movie. Now, remember when I said the acting is bad? Well, there's actually one person whose acting is pretty decent. And that is the girl who plays Zoe. Her name is Tori DeVito, I think. Now, you remember her from Pretty Little Liars. She plays Spencer's sister. Also, she's in a bunch of NBC, I think it's called like Chicago Med or something like that. Those the hospital type shows they have on NBC. She was in that. So her career thankfully did not take a hit, and her acting is probably the best out of everybody in here, but that's not by saying much. In the beginning of the movie, when you see her in, it's bad. But then when the year passed, it's better after that. But then it gets bad when she does her dream sequence, but then after that it's good again. So she is the only shining light from this, and she's actually like, it's funny, I actually started like, I'm like, oh, okay, she's pretty cool and she looks great because she and everything. So I got added her like to Instagram years ago, and then when she plays Spencer's sister, I'm like, oh, I don't know who this is. I didn't recognize her. So I started following her. I'm like, oh wait, I'm already following her. How can that be? So I looked her up and I'm like, oh crap, she was in that movie. Oh, and so just like with the first I Know What You Did Last Summer, it's all basically just no diversity. It's all white characters. However, Tori is actually Italian, but she's probably playing a white girl in this just like she did in Pretty Little Liars. And most likely she is, because how many Italians do you know live in Utah? So, because I don't know many and stuff. But you know what's interesting about Italian stars is that they play a lot of white characters and a lot of Hispanic characters. They rarely ever play themselves unless it calls for an actual Italian show, film, movie, something like that. Or if they play a gangster, which is kind of weird in a way. Now, when it comes to the poster of this thing, okay, this is what's so confusing. All right, so we're gonna go from right to left, if that makes any sense. So, there's a reason for that. Okay, dude on the right, far right. He plays, I don't even remember his name. I don't remember most of these people's name in here. But he plays kinda like, he plays the cousin of the dude that dies. He's kinda a love interest. He flirts with the main character. Could they recycle that from the first movie? So he's kinda like Max. But anyway, so yeah, he plays that character. Then next is the main girl, which she is so boring and flat in this. How did she's the worst final girl ever because she's just boring and everything. Then we get the best friend Zoe, who played by Tori DeVito and everything, right? I told you about. Now, as you can see, there's a person on the left with blonde hair. And I remember I kept looking at the DVD cover. 'Cause when I was in Best Buy, I was gonna buy Know What You Did Last Summer. But they had it as a 3-pack movie. I'm like, crap, I don't want this crap. But then I was lucky to find the 2-pack. Now, the girl on the left with the blonde hair, she's barely in the movie. So yes, she is barely in the movie, probably 3, 4, 5 minutes at most. Like here she is right now hanging out with the group. But it's only in the beginning of the movie. After that year passed, like she's never shown again. So why is she on the DVD cover? It would have made more sense for the Barry type character, the blonde dude, to be on the cover, but he's not. So that right there don't make no sense. But anyway, this movie has terrible writing. Like the characters are so stupid. They're not even smart in the slightest. But enough of why this movie's bad. Let me just explain what happened in the stupid movie. Oh God, this movie's stupid. Like I'm laughing just thinking about how terrible it is. Now I remember I said last year I would never watch this movie again. But the only reason why I watched it last night is because I still have HBO Max for at least 2 more days. And it's on there. And I'm just kind of like, it's on there. I only have a few days left. I'm pretty much done watching everything I have to watch. Halloween is coming up soon, so I just watch it. You know what I'm saying? Why not? Maybe it's not as bad as I remember. Ooh, it's worse than I remember. It's worse. So anyway, the movie, it starts off with a group of teenage kids getting ready to graduate, and they're at like a carnival fair type thing in their small town. Now, they're there, they're hanging out, and then all of a sudden somebody tells the story of Ben Willis, talking about how like he seeks revenge on teenagers who have secrets. That's not the legend of Ben Willis, but whatever, you know what I'm saying? Oh, there's a huge twist in this movie that's so stupid, it pissed me off. So anyway, that's the legend of Ben Willis. He only goes after teenagers who have secrets. What kind of secrets? They never say, but it's secrets. So then all of a sudden they see a guy named PJ. He is the son of the sheriff. All of a sudden, here comes Ben Willis slashing and gashing, trying to kill everybody. But the only people who run for him and notice him are the group of teenagers that are our main characters. Everybody else is just kind of like, okay, whatever. Which is just stupid. And so he goes after PJ. PJ's scared and everything. And it's a real hook too. And so like, PJ's scared. He runs on top of a building and everything. This now everybody's attention is towards him. Now everybody's like, oh my God, what's going on? So then he tries to fight the Ben Willis off with his skateboard. I mean, at least he's trying to fight the killer. Most people don't do that, but he's using it as a shield. Then for whatever reason, he decides he's gonna jump off the building, but using a skateboard trick. Cause he's trying to get away from Ben Willis on a roof by skateboarding on the roof. What kind of mess is that? If you're, it's gonna go a little bit faster, but you can run a whole lot faster than you can skateboard. So he jumps off the building with some kind of skateboard trick. And what happens? Oh no. He falls on a tractor and impales himself right through the heart. So he's dead. So everybody's upset. But our main characters run and hide as the killer comes up behind them. And so, like, it turns out it's their friend Roger. It was just a prank. But it's a prank that's gone wrong. So now they're freaking out. So now they go out to like not necessarily a beach, but more like a lake area. And they talk about how, okay, we'll make a pact right here. We'll never tell nobody. And blah, blah, blah. Similar to the first movie. And everybody better agree. Oh, no, main girl, you better agree on this, just like the first movie. So they're bringing crap in from the first movie and not being the original. She's like, all right, fine, I'll promise. But it's not as cool as the first movie. Nobody's threatening her. She's like, okay, fine, whatever. So then, like, he takes the hook and he throws it in the lake. Then, of course, the whole year passes. They're now in college. She's back. They throw a house party and everything, and she sees her boyfriend, the blonde dude, who's supposed to be like the Barry type dude. And she's all like, what the world, man? You didn't even tell me you're back and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And, like, I had to find out by just throwing a party and stuff. Apparently, they've been dating since they was in college, but they don't talk. And she don't talk to nobody else because everybody else just went their own way. So it's kind of like, okay, if you're dating somebody long distance and you're not talking to that person whatsoever, aren't you technically broken up? This is when I say the writing's bad. He's all like, okay, maybe we should just like go our own ways and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like the whole Barry Helen thing when they reunite and stuff. And I'm just kind of like, okay. But then, so like, at some point in time, she starts to get the messages and everything from Ben Willis. He texts her on the phone. Ben Willis has upgraded from sending letters to texting people now. And he's all like, I know what you did last summer. Stuff like that. And so, like, so pretty much what happens is like the dude Roger, he's freaking out, and like she reunites with Zoe, and those two haven't talked, and Zoe's kind of like, I've been contacting you over and over. How come you haven't like talked to me and stuff like that? And so they decide to go and see Roger. And there's another scene from the first movie. They're both sitting in the car, and she's all like, "What happened to us? We used to be friends." "Oh yeah, well, we used to be more than that." I'm just like, that's like such a rip off from the first movie and everything. And then, so in a way, they talk to Roger. Roger's all freaking out. He's manic. He's on drugs. And he's all like, "Oh man, I can't believe what we did last year." And all this dumb stuff, right? And so then he makes them get out, and he's acting creepy towards them and everything. And so, like, at some point, she's like, I guess, like on a gondola, and for some bizarre reason, and it gets attacked by Ben Willis, and but he doesn't get her. And how the world did he get on top of the gondola as it's moving and crap like that? So that's not explained, but they explain why later. And so it's typical teens, or they're adults now. And oh, I forgot the dude who's like the Barry type dude. He's all like, "Oh yeah, I went to college and it didn't work out," kind of like Barry. And I'm just kind of like, such a ripoff. But anyway, um, crap. What I was gonna say. I should never talk about the Barry dude. Okay, let's see. Gondola getting attacked and going their own separate ways, and crap, I forgot my train of thought. That's how bad this movie is and everything. So, anyways, at some point, I just go something else. So, at some point, she talks to like the sheriff's deputy, and like, he's all like, "If you need anything, just tell me." He has like a crush on her and crap like that. And, so he's a creepy dude. And so then she tells like her Barry like boyfriend, like, "I got a message and I got attacked." And they're all like, "Oh, you're probably just dreaming it up, or maybe it's somebody trying to get revenge for PJ." So they think it's the sheriff. And so stupid Barry like dude who can't act, he just like, sends the sheriff a letter and everything. And the sheriff just kind of like whatever, and like he just doesn't like it doesn't phase him and stuff. And like, but then at some point, when her Barry like boyfriend is at his job, he sees "I know what you did last summer" written in water on the ground, but then it disappears like out of magic thin air. And it's like, what the world? It's like, where is this going and crap? Well, basically, he gets attacked, and he gets like the hook stabbed in like his ankle and stuff, and he has to wear a boot now. He's on crutches. Which, do you really need a boot if like you get stabbed in the ankle? Like, isn't it for if you break it? Maybe it cut through bone, maybe. Oh, now I know what I was gonna say. So it's just like in the first movie. Remember how everybody's all like, "Oh, I hate this like fish water of a town. We have to get out when we grow up, and there's a future for us and stuff." They say the same crap here. Only problem is when you look at the terrain and location, it actually looks pretty cool. Like, it doesn't look bad. Like, there's mountains, there's tons of cool grass, and like just kind of like old timey buildings and stuff. And it doesn't look bad. It looks cool and vintage. Which, by the way, the director, another person was supposed to direct this movie, but he quit. And so the director who got this movie, he only had a short period of time to like look out for like search for like locations and stuff. And yeah, he tried too hard to be scary in this movie. Like, every time Ben Willis tries to attack somebody, the screen starts flickering like lights and everything, like flashes of lights. And it's kind of like, that's not scary. It just hurt my eyes now that I'm older. But they always think something like that's going to be scary, but it's not. And so, like, at some point in time, the love interest dude, he gets a message from Ben Willis talking about "I know" written on his motorcycle. He goes to like the love interest main girl, and he's all like, "What the world is this? I can't believe this after what y'all did last summer." She's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's all like, "I know." Because what happened was okay, remember, it was his cousin that died, right? But I think it was one of the dudes. I think it was the Barry like dude. He went to him and like, "Yo man, we did this and blah 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 blah," and all this other stuff. And so they're supposed to keep it pat, but they're telling, both of the guys end up telling and stuff. And so she's all like, like I got this weird message and I got attacked and blah 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 blah. And it's not us. It was just a prank gone wrong and all this other crap. Right. Well, anyway, let's get to Roger. Roger can't take it no more. He writes a goodbye message. There's tons of drugs everywhere, and he's ready to take himself out, if you know what I'm saying. But I can't say the actual word because this is YouTube, and apparently on YouTube you ain't allowed to say much stuff no more. And so so he's ready to end it and everything. And then he takes out the hook, the one that was thrown in the lake. This fool went into the lake and got the evidence. After the evidence, his prints was all washed away on this thing. This fool goes back again. Do you not see how stupid the writing is? So he's getting ready to do himself, but then all of a sudden, here come Ben Willis ready to do it for him. And so, of course, he gets slashed on the throat from side to side. And so, with all the strange stuff happening, our threesome, or our trio, I should say, Zoe, Amber, and her ex-boyfriend on crutches, they all go to his place. They see the note. They think he killed himself. How? Now this is what don't make no sense. When they go looking through his place, they see the hook in a box in like a drawer. So you mean to tell me they think halfway across the room where they found his body, his throat is slashed from side to side, all around, blood's everywhere. As he's dying, he's gonna walk halfway across the room, open up the drawer, and put the hook in a box very neatly and close the drawer. That would be the dumbest thing ever. And this is literally, like I said, how dumb the writing is and stuff. And so, they really thought that. But then in comes the deputy of all people out of nowhere. And why is he there? And they're like, well, we found the body like this. And he believes them and everything. And so anyways, the trio is now a foursome and everything. Because now the love interest is in there. But it makes the Barry-like character all jealous. Like, oh man, why you hanging out with my girlfriend and stuff? And she's all like, we're broken up. I'm just like, I hate this movie. So they actually come up with a very smart plan. That smart plan is, let's get the heck on out of here. No, before they get that smart plan. I'm getting ahead of myself. So they go back to her place, right? And because she's home alone and her mom left her a note at first and left her some money. She's about 19 years old. Why do you need to leave pizza money for your 19-year-old? Shouldn't she have a job? But anyway, she comes back home and there's confetti all on her floor in the form of pictures, because she had tons of pictures of her and her friends on her wall and stuff. So Ben Willis broke into her house, slashed up all her pictures, and wrote the word soon in her mangled pictures. This scares them, so then they go to the deputy dudes. He's like, he said he'll protect me and everything like that. And so they go to his place, but then he has all the other cops and the sheriff there. They don't even tell what happened. Yeah, the sheriff is probably going to think they did it because of the prank that killed his son, but the cousin is there who had nothing to do with the prank. So at least he can vouch for them, but they don't tell nobody. So then, at some point, Zoe, because we don't really talk about her. So with Zoe, she, of course, gets her little, thing with Ben Willis too. She's sitting down in on a couch in this little abandoned type place where her and her band plays at, and she falls asleep there. Now the couch is completely intact. She has a nightmare of Ben Willis trying to kill her and everything. She wakes up and the couch is mangled, shredded from Ben Willis' hook. So you mean to tell me Ben Willis just came in there, shredded her couch, and didn't even try to kill her? What the world kind of killer has Ben Willis become? And also, isn't Ben Willis supposed to be dead from the second movie? Anyways, this is when they come up with their genius plan. And yes, it is a genius plan. Finally, the writing has got smart. They decide, let's pack up our stuff and get the heck on out of here and everything. That he can't kill us. If we ain't here, because see, it's a day before 4th of July and he kills on 4th of July. That's why he didn't kill her. Anyway, no, he kills people before that, so I don't understand. He killed the other dude. But yeah, it's still stupid how he just shredded the couch and didn't kill her. But anyways, so, but then Tori's all like, no way, dude. Like, some talent scouts are coming here and they're gonna see our band play. And I can actually make it, man. I can actually get out of this like small hit town and be a rock and roll singer. And they're all like, dude, we have a killer on the loose trying to kill us. Let's get on out of here. Screw your music career. But then they're all like, okay, let's just do this for her. And as soon as you're done with the song, we're going to hightail it on out of there. So she performs and everything, but the Barry lookalike, he's depressed because another dude is marching in on his ex-girlfriend. So he's drunk before the band thing starts. Yeah, get drunk while you're on crutches. And there's a killer on the loose. But then he heads to the bar and when he gets even more drunk. So anyway, she performs the song and do they hightail it on out of there? Nope. She's in the back putting on some makeup. So then when they go back there with her, now they're ready to leave. But oh, here comes Ben Willis out of nowhere. And of course the chase happens and he chases them. This doesn't make sense. Oh God, I can't even stop laughing. Okay. When he's chasing them, for some bizarre reason, instead of leaving the place, they decide to go into the locker room, where there's nothing but metal lockers wall to wall to wall. So they're trapped in there, but they make their way out of there anyway. That just don't make no sense. When they escape the locker room, they're in a trio group, right? And we see them running, and we see all three people running, but then all of a sudden, they lose Tori. She decided instead of trying to go through the doors where everybody else is trying to go through, she's gonna turn around the corner and go up the stairs and be on like the little balcony second floor thing and talking about, where are you guys? I'm fool. You turned the corner after you saw them trying to go through a door and you go up the stairs. You know where they're This writing is so stupid. So of course she gets hooked and everything. So they run towards her body and she's bleeding, but in comes the sheriff out of nowhere, right? And so like the sheriff, he thinks that of course they did, and they're like, no, we didn't do it, and blah, 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 blah. And then of course he gets hooked. Now he doesn't know the secret, so why did Ben Willis get him? And then so they run outside and here's the deputy and they're covered in blood. And so he's all like, put your hands up. He got like a rifle on them. And so then they're all like, you know, we didn't do it and blah, blah, blah. And then he's all like, I know, Roger told me everything that happened. So both dudes like told what happened. Oh, by the way, the Barry lookalike got hooked and everything. And so like, then they open up his car because he's going to arrest them. But then Tori's in his car all of a sudden. How? He just drove there and everything. So Ben Willis hooks him. So love interest and Amber, they're getting chased by Ben Willis. And so like, she like stabs him with like the hook and everything, and it's like black blood coming out, but he shoots Ben Willis with a gun and it does nothing. So then at some point in time they reveal what Ben Willis looks like, and this is Ben Willis. This zombified monster demon thing. They have turned Ben Willis into some type of zombie demon, a ghost that haunts like teenagers on every 4th of July whenever they have a secret. What the freak nuts is this? They turned a cool, revengeful killer in the first 2 installments and turned them into this. Like, what in the actual world, man? And it's not even the same actor, of course, who plays it. Somebody complete like a stunt double type dude. And this is just atrocious and everything. So Ben Willis wobbles away and everything. And she's all like, did you see that? Like, the hook, it hurt him. And the dude's all like, let's get out of here. She's like, no, this hook hurt him. I'm gonna hurt him. I gotta go fight him. So they go and they fight Ben Willis. And yeah, it's like Hook versus Hook. It's like on guard. And so they get chased and they get scared and they're slashing and stuff like that. Then at some point she drops it and he picks it up and it's like on guard. They start fighting and everything. It's like the weirdest thing. Now I will say, in slasher movies, one thing that I always wonder is why nobody never tries to fight the killer. Like, why? They always run from him. And I guess this is why. It looks ridiculous. Well, eventually they end up impaling him on a tractor and everything through the heart. And oh, he's dead and everything like that. And so they recreate another scene where the paramedics and the cops are all like, do you know why this person chased after you? No. It's like in every movie and stuff. So then another year has passed and now we finally get some color in this movie. And she's driving around on the road and the mountaintops and all of a sudden something happens to her car. She gets a flat tire. She's talking to love interest on the phone. Something feels weird. She turns around and there go Ben Willis behind her and supposedly slashes her and everything. This movie is god awful. I swear to freaking God, man, this movie just sucks and everything. And it's like, you can make a bad slasher movie, like I said before, and if it has some redeeming qualities, it can be at least decent to where you can ignore the stupid stuff. With this one movie I'm going to talk about in a couple of days from now, like you can ignore the stupid stuff as long as like the kills are good and the motive is good and some of the acting's good. But this movie doesn't have no redeeming qualities. Like Tori DeVito is only one person and she's not strong enough to save this movie and everything, because everything else just sucks in this movie. And it's kind of like film students and like college and YouTube can do better than this, man. I don't understand it. And it's all these jump scares that don't scare nobody. It's all this flashing lights that don't scare nobody. And the music doesn't even sound cool. It's like half rock and roll and half eerie, and it just doesn't work. And the setting don't work, the color grading don't work, nothing works in this movie, sadly. And and I hate to have to just bash and put this down, because that's why I was never going to talk about it. But I feel like, whatever, Halloween's coming up and, it's on HBO Max and, I still have that for like another day or two. And it's just kind of like, might as well just talk about all the other installments of this franchise. But my God, they really suffered with this movie. It's just terrible. And not only is it terrible, but none of the victims are trying to investigate really who is trying to kill them and everything. They don't know really it's Ben Willis. They just assume it, but then they assume it's like that one sheriff dude and then the deputy. So at least that one dude kind of investigated a little bit, but not really. And then at one point she's all like, this is how it all started. All because we saw this stupid article and this stupid legend of a bunch of kids getting killed by like a man and like a fisherman with a hook and all this other crap. Speaking of, if this is really Ben Willis, why doesn't he have a hook for a hand? In the first movie, he was just a regular man who grabbed onto a hook. Then his hand got sliced off at the end of that movie, and then in the second movie he had a hook installed on his wrist and everything. Here he has a hand that regrew back and he's holding on to a hook and everything, and I don't get that. And just a lot of this movie just don't make no sense. Like, why the dude went back into the lake to go get the hook for it? The evidence was gone and everything. Why did him and like the other dude blab to like, what they did and everything? That don't make no sense. And it's just nothing in this movie, man. And it's canon. That's the worst thing about it. It's freaking canon. Now, of course, if they were to ever come out with a true third installment, they can just bypass this movie and say like, it never existed and stuff like that. And that would be so much better. But would Jennifer Love Hewitt really want to come back to this, Like, who knows, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of movies that might be weird, I don't know because it ain't came out yet, is, the Bring It On cheerleader franchise? I thought it was dead with all those like direct to DVD sequels, but they came out with a new one that's supposed to come out on Sci-Fi, and it's supposed to be a slasher. So now it's a cheerleader slasher movie, and it's supposed to be like a comedy also. And it comes out in October on Sci-Fi. I forget when, but Lord, what is going on in this world? Mufasa did not die for this. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.